Hello. It is my pleasure and privilege to welcome you to view the 2020 Graduate Awards celebration as we highlight the accomplishments of this year's award winners. I am Eric Wertheimer, Vice Provost and Dean of the Graduate School, and I would like to extend a special welcome to all of you, award winners, presenters, friends, and family of the Stony Brook graduate community. Although we would have much preferred to have this celebration in person, among our colleagues, friends, and family, we hope that this virtual celebration can bring a sense of community amidst such challenging times. Even though we cannot physically be together, on behalf of the entire university leadership, I want to offer sincere congratulations to each and every one of you. Many people contribute to making Stony Brook an outstanding research university. The faculty who mentor, advise, support, and teach our students, the staff who support all aspects of the graduate mission, and of course, the graduate students who contribute to the discovery of new knowledge, who push the bounds of art making, devise new theoretical models, and lead the way to a shared and better future. Today, we celebrate and congratulate the outstanding success, commitment, and passion of these accomplished members of our graduate programs. Without the inspired efforts of the students, faculty, and staff we recognize today, and others like them across our university, Stony Brook would not be the center of academic and research excellence that it is. We will begin this presentation by highlighting each award winner's name and program, followed by their nominators' brief recorded comments. Before concluding this part of today's presentation, I would personally like to thank the Graduate Awards Committee, who carefully reviewed 80 nominations in order to select our award recipients, the faculty, staff, and students who submitted nominations, the winner's family and friends who are watching today. I am now pleased to present to you this year's winners of the 2020 Graduate Awards. Congratulations to each of you on your achievement.
I'm happy to introduce Stephen Pallas, who has received the Alumni Association Doctoral Summer Fellowship. Stephen has made great progress with his studies while undergoing exceptional financial hardship. He's the sole earner of a family of 4, which requires him to work several jobs throughout the year. His spouse is unable to work because their eldest son has serious medical needs, some but not all of which are related to his being born with congenital hearing loss and deafness. While Stephen has been teaching his own courses at Stony Brook, he also manages a restaurant on weekends to defray the costs of his family's medical expenses. Undoubtedly, Stephen is taking on a lot of extra work in order to support his family in their extremely challenging economic situation. And, rather astonishingly, he has been doing this while simultaneously making consistent progress on his dissertation, working as a research assistant for faculty, presenting his research at national academic conferences, and publishing his work in journals and in our department's blog. Stephen's dissertation is titled In the Place of Another: Empathy and the Romantic Imagination. His project poses important questions about how literature of the British Romantic era was able to cultivate empathy, refining the sensibilities and imagination of readers to make them more humane and mindful of others. His project explores the ways in which authors of Romantic literature represented some of the most marginalized people in British society: the prisoner, the prostitute, and the slave. These literary depictions of suffering are significant for the way they affected institutional and cultural change as democracy emerged in the early decades of the 19th century. All of us in the English department are proud of Stephen Pallas and delighted that he receives the Alumni Association Doctoral Summer Fellowship.
Congratulations, class of 2020, on achieving your goal of earning your degree from the graduate school at Stony Brook University. My name is Matthew Colson. I'm the Executive Director of the Alumni Association. It was an interesting semester, to say the least, but you did it. You persevered as Seawolves always do, and we're proud of you. It gives me great pleasure to present to you the Alumni Association's Dean's Choice Award, an award of $1,000 from the Alumni Association to a highly accomplished and deserving student. Each year, an exceptional PhD candidate is selected to receive recognition for demonstrating outstanding achievements in their research. Please join me in congratulating Spencer Austin as this year's Dean's Choice recipient. Spencer is a doctoral candidate in the Department of History. His dissertation is titled French-Speaking Radicals in the Pennsylvania Coal Pits, 1871 through 1924, New Circuits of Euro-American Radicalisms. As Professor Beverley describes, is a sparkling and exciting foray into transnational social and labor history, a timely reminder that ours is not the only age in which migration was a political issue and immigrants contributed to the most significant political currents of American life, end quote. At the core of Spencer's unwavering commitment to his discipline is a leader with an uncanny ability to bring the community he shares with all of us together to make positive change. All in all, I'm sure you'll agree, Spencer is outstanding and well-deserving of this Alumni Association Dean's Choice Award of the Graduate School. Congratulations, Spencer.
I am delighted to introduce Dr. Richard Gerrig as the 2020 recipient of the Dean's Award for Excellence in Graduate Mentoring by a faculty member. Richard is a mentor who goes the extra mile in every way, from the time he takes students under his wing and long after they have left the nest. Richard brings out the best in students and successfully mentors students toward their dream jobs. Richard is a rare academic who is a leader in mentoring, service, and research. Richard successfully wears many hats. Richard makes Stony Brook University a better place. In the words of his students, Richard is a true mentor, truly outstanding, very effective and caring graduate mentor, student-focused, very supportive, very friendly and encouraging, provides invaluable advice, fosters independence, generous, and very accessible. Here are a few more excerpts from the absolutely glowing letters of recommendations from students who were lucky enough to be mentored by Richard. Within the psychology department, Dr. Gerrig is known as the go-to person for advice on academic, writing, and research-related questions. There are many ways in which I've been fortunate throughout my life, and having Richard as a mentor is definitely one of them. He is a credit to the university, and I've been supremely lucky to count him as mentor, collaborator, and friend. He has been an excellent advisor, an intellectually stimulating colleague, and an instrumental force in the development of my career. The successes I've had in my career are in no small part due to the intellectual guidance and social support Richard provided. I can say without a doubt that I would not have been able to reach this accomplishment, dissertation, and get to where I am today, faculty position, without Richard's outstanding support and guidance. Working with him literally changed my life, and I am eternally grateful for this. I know that I would not be in my current position if not for Dr. Gerrig's encouragement, humor, intellect, pragmatic nature, and overall expertise and mentorship. With deep gratitude, I congratulate Richard Gerrig as the 2020 recipient of the Dean's Award for Excellence in Graduate Mentoring by a faculty member. As students in his laboratory noted, Dr. Gerrig should have already won this award a long time ago. Congratulations, Richard.
It is my great honor and pleasure to introduce Professor David Rubenstein from the Department of Biomedical Engineering, the winner of the 2020 Dean's Award for Excellence in Service by a graduate program director. David was one of the first undergraduate students in our BME program, and in spring 2002 attended the very first course that I ever taught at Stony Brook. When David came on board in biomedical engineering as GPD, he fully dived into our graduate program, reviewed it very carefully from the bottom up, kept the good aspects, filled up many holes, enhanced the not so great parts, and introduced new initiatives. He wrote program guidelines, provided clarity and transparency for both students and faculty, and encouraged all constituents to become more involved in the program. In short, he took full ownership of all aspects of our graduate program. It is a reflection of David's great success that the changes that he implemented were accepted and welcomed by both students and faculty. Even though David has a thriving research program in cardiovascular engineering, he is extremely generous with his time and expertise. For instance, he runs programs for both the graduate school and the Center for Inclusive Education that benefit grad students. To highlight David's extraordinary productivity and creativity as program director, I'm going to give you just a few examples of his accomplishments over the past year alone. He finalized and implemented digital workflows for most of the internal BME processes associated with the graduate program. He established a novel seminar course mandatory for all BME grad students to increase communication and connectivity across our broad discipline. Feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. He introduced a BME open house for grad students for the first time in the history of our grad program. He introduced a welcome week for new grad students. He revamped the BME qualifying exam. He proposed a new advanced graduate certificate in bioinnovation, which was awarded $50,000 from New York State for development. And he ran the Stony Brook GIFP boot camp for all grad students. Dizzy yet? One topic I would like to emphasize is the master's program in BME, for which he designed not one, but two new programs, which recently were approved by the New York State Education Department in Albany. As of now, our number of accepted MS students ready to start in the fall has greatly increased over previous years. In summary, David's service to BME, the graduate school, the Center for Inclusive Education, as well as to the entire university is truly outstanding. Again, congratulations to David on the 2020 Dean's Award for Excellence in Service by a Graduate Program Director. Go BME!
I'm delighted to present the Dean's Award for Excellence in Service by a Graduate Program Coordinator to Jackie Donnelly. As the lone administrator in a small but ambitious department, Jackie serves as both ATC and GPC. The demands on her are multiple and incredibly diverse, and she handles each of these many responsibilities with great skill, coolness under pressure, and good humor. In the many letters submitted in support, she is described as resourceful and supportive, indispensable, consummately professional, and unfailingly collegial, extremely dedicated and hardworking, and a star at everything she does. Put simply, Jackie is the heart and soul of WGSS. Letters from graduate students confirm how integral Jackie is to helping them with all sorts of issues, from the most mundane to major life-changing events. One student who underwent major surgery in the fall movingly describes how Jackie was an anchor for her during this difficult time. Several letter writers describe how Jackie took the lead in handling the difficult situation this fall when many graduate students across campus did not receive their paychecks. One colleague describes Jackie as not afraid of tough conversations when advocating for her students. This is the sort of ethical and empathic leadership we need to create a culture of respect at Stony Brook. Jackie approaches her work with a collaborative spirit, drawing on her many contacts across the university to support innovative programming and events. Jackie is our secret weapon when it comes to recruiting students to WGSS and Stony Brook. As several students noted, Jackie's kindness and helpfulness, even before they had accepted our offer, is testament to her genuine interest in and generosity towards others. However, Jackie's one tragic flaw is that she was a bear cat before becoming a sea wolf, and this means she always is on the losing side of the annual WGSS volleyball grudge match. Thank you.
Hello, I'd like to congratulate G.A. Kim, a fourth-year PhD student in the Department of Linguistics, for winning the Madeline Fusco Fellowship. As her advisor and the department chair, I can say with the utmost certainty that G.A. is truly deserving of this award. She's distinguished herself as an exceptional young scholar and researcher with dozens of publications and conference presentations. That's really a remarkable feat for someone at her level. In short, GA is a star. The Madeline Fusco Fellowship is intended to help students financially as they approach the completion of their dissertation. So let me tell you a little bit about her dissertation on consonant insertion. It involves cutting-edge research at the interface of theoretical phonology, morphology, sociolinguistics. She uses experimental and computational tools to probe the question of why a consonant or a vowel might be inserted in an utterance. So, for example, the English restaurant Sparrow can be pronounced as Sparrow or Subarrow with an extra vowel added after the S. And the question is, why would people do that? So GA uses experimental tools to probe this question, and she's conducted research among students at Seoul National University. She also uses computational tools to conduct cross-linguistic typological research on diverse languages that have this phenomenon. And both of these tools involve very technical skills with which GA has, and her results promise to have far-reaching implications for our understanding of phonology, morphology, language change, dialect divergence, sociolinguistic phenomena, etc. GA is not only an exceptional scholar, she also has extensive teaching experience, and this semester she's teaching a course with 350 students, and she's a model department citizen. I'm very proud to be her advisor, and I would like to congratulate her on this well-deserved award. Thank you.
I'm happy to introduce Megan Buckley, who has received the Mildred and Herbert Weisinger Dissertation Fellowship. Megan has made excellent progress with her studies while undergoing exceptional financial hardship. In her first years in the program, Megan taught as an adjunct professor at Farmingdale State College in order to help cover the costs of a medical emergency in her family. Undoubtedly, she has taken on a lot of extra work in order to support herself and her family in their extremely challenging economic situation. And rather astonishingly, she has been doing this while simultaneously working as a research assistant for faculty in English and the program in writing and rhetoric, presenting her own research at national conferences, publishing her scholarship in peer-reviewed journals, and in brochures for public arts and humanities events. Megan's dissertation is titled Warscapes, Mapping the American War in Iraq Through Literature. In her project, Megan shows how environmental setting and contact with the natural world play an essential role in memoirs, blogs, and fiction about the U.S. War on Terror, specifically the experiences of trauma among Iraqi civilians and U.S. soldiers during the American War in Iraq. I want to emphasize that Megan has made consistent progress on her dissertation, has earned a Public Humanities Fellowship, founded a female veterans writing group on the Stony Brook campus, published one article, co-authored another, and is currently co-authoring a special issue on women and war in the Journal of Veterans Studies. All of us in the English department are proud of Megan Buckley and delighted that she receives the Mildred and Herbert Weisinger Dissertation Fellowship.
Hello, I'm Stephen Baines, the director of the Doctoral Program in Ecology and Evolution. This is always my favorite time of year, and it's a distinct pleasure this year to congratulate Rachel Herman for receiving the 2020 Faculty Staff Dissertation Award from the Graduate School. Rachel's dissertation concerns something we don't often hear about these days, a species that is a climate change winner. In addition to being extremely cute, Gentoo penguins were previously thought to be a bit particular about their surroundings, exhibiting extreme fidelity to their nesting sites and having very specific requirements for nesting habitat. However, they have defied expectation by expanding their range near Antarctica markedly southward as climate change causes unprecedented warming in the region. The ecological consequences of such climate change winners are poorly understood. As Gentoo penguins move into new habitat, they may compete with other critically endangered species for nesting sites and for the krill food resource that virtually every species in the Southern Ocean depends upon. The kinds of alteration of species interactions are one of the major factors limiting our ability to conserve species in the face of dynamic climate. So it's important to understand them going forward. Rachel will try to piece together the puzzle of Gentoo range expansion and its effects. She will first use her expertise in population genetics developed through extensive experience prior to coming to Stony Brook, to discover the source populations of these new colonies, as well as in situ sampling to determine the ecological correlates of Gentoo expansion and its consequences. Rachel has already had extensive experience working in the Antarctic with these organisms, but trips to the Antarctic are not cheap. This award will enable her to participate in an NSF-funded cruise to the region of Gentoo expansion, and it's critical to her success. Therefore, I congratulate Rachel Herman, and I thank the Graduate School for the support of her research.
Welcome to another edition of Storytime with Dr. Rubenstein. Today we'll be reading one of my favorite books, The Perfect Path to a PhD by Sindhuja Govindarajan, this year's recipient of the John Marburger III Fellowship. The story starts with a student joining the Biomedical Engineering program for doctoral studies. And she thinks to herself, all I have to do is take a few classes. I have to meet my teaching requirement, pass the qualifying exam, pass the proposal exam, and satisfactorily defend my dissertation. The perfect path to a PhD. Then life steps in and things happen. Things like changing a lab, perhaps, or the greatest joy in life of having a child. This disrupts the perfect path. But Sindhuja was not deterred. She took these hurdles and turned them into positive aspects and trained people and used this story of hers to tell people that no matter what happens, you can get that doctoral degree. She became an instructor for GRD 500. She participates in the graduate school's PCLP program. This is the PhD Career Ladder program, where she instructs students on how to get through doctoral programs. And the perfect path may not exist for everybody. So on behalf of all of the graduate faculty of biomedical engineering, I want to say congratulations to Sindhuja. You've done an exceptional job in your doctoral studies. You have over 15 publications. You have over 20 conference proceedings. You've worked with the graduate school to tell your story. You are overcoming many, many obstacles, and you have been one of the most successful students we have had. So congratulations, Sindhuja.
Greetings. It's my privilege to introduce doctoral student Jimena Lopez Carrillo on behalf of the History Department. Jimena is recipient of the Joyce Turner Dissertation Fellowship to support work on her project titled Defining Mexican-American Psychology, A History of Scientific Activism, Identity Formation and Mental Health, 1969 to 1986. The dissertation is a path-breaking and highly original work of medical history, attentive to the profound effects of race, gender, ethnicity, and class in the making of minority mental health research in the late 20th century. The work is carried out through careful examination of new medical research centers that focused on the mental health needs of Latino populations in the United States. Her dissertation will show how Latino medical scholars successfully challenged the implicit biases that were at the core of the white male-dominated discipline of psychology in the United States. Jimena Lopez Carrillo's research promises to make an important contribution to the Turner Program, Stony Brook as a whole, and public and academic knowledge more broadly about the ways activist scientists diversified the U.S. medical establishment. Great thanks to the Turner Foundation for recognizing and supporting this excellent and important scholarship.
I'm happy to introduce Caitlin Duffy, who has received the President's Award for Excellence in Teaching by a graduate student. In her 4 years at Stony Brook and our English PhD program, Caitlin has enhanced and expanded her impressive skills as an experienced teacher. Students and faculty alike point to her patient, caring, and generous personality, her dexterity at using classroom technology to engage her students in learning, and her exceptional organization and communication skills that express her love for teaching. Caitlin's letters of support from her students corroborate her excellence as a teacher. For example, one former student reports in his evaluation, her lectures were more like discussions and were so involved that it was hard not to pay attention. She strongly encouraged students to discuss their opinions while still steering the discussions toward learning. Another student remarks on the invaluable skills he learned from Caitlin. Writing is more than just something I slap together for a grade now, even more than ever. The skills I learned in Professor Duffy's class carry over to more than just English classes, as I must write countless reports for my science labs. Through a single semester graduation requirement class, Professor Duffy has sparked an interest in writing for me. Caitlin's students all speak to her inordinate generosity of personal time, investment in how each one of them learns best, as well as her high standards, eagerness, and passion for teaching. All of us in the English department are proud of Caitlin Duffy and delighted that she receives the President's Award for Excellence in Teaching by a graduate student.
I am absolutely delighted to present the President's Award for Excellence in Teaching by a graduate student to Alona Aksionova. Alona is one of the best graduate student instructors we have ever had in our department. I know this both as the program director and as an instructor who has had her as his TA. Alona's teaching abilities are nothing short of spectacular. She's the dream TA, always going the extra mile, always seeking new assignments, attacking them with enthusiasm, dedication, and creativity. She is a natural mentor who creates close relationships with her students that go beyond the usual classroom requirements. She becomes their mentors, their inspiration, their role models. Her versatility and dedication have been remarkable. Everyone in the department wants Alona as their TA. Sometimes faculty have even been ready to fight over getting her assigned to them. Alona has TA'd or taught 11 distinct courses in her 5 years with us. She has TA'd Introduction to Human Language, Language and Technology, Language in the USA, Generative Syntax, The Structure of an Uncommonly Taught Language, as well as Introduction to Psychology. More significantly, Alona was chosen as primary instructor for 5 distinct courses, 3 of which she created herself, including the Anatomy of English Words, Language and Life in Russia, Language and Life in Scandinavia, Language and Technology, and an MA PhD level course in computational linguistics. Nothing exemplifies Alona's influence on her students better than the story of one pre-med student whose letter I'd like to quote from. She writes, "My first semester was spring 2017. I chose Linguistics 101 on a whim. I did not know anything about linguistics, so it was a difficult challenge. Alona was my TA, and she made me fall in love with linguistics. When I added that class, I had no idea what linguistics was, and now I'm only 2 classes away from a minor in linguistics. I owe it all to Alona. She was the best TA I've ever had at Stony Brook." Alona's advisor, Thomas Graff, also sings her praises as an instructor. He writes, "To put it bluntly, Alona is outstanding, extraordinary, second to none, and far beyond what can be expected of a graduate student." Alona was our first advanced PhD student to be asked to teach an introductory course in our MA program in computational linguistics, also attended by PhD students. One such student recounts his experience with Alona in this course. "I believe she is one of the greatest instructors at Stony Brook University," he writes. "She does not mind spending countless hours to teach students and help them in their projects. I wish the university would appoint her as a full-time faculty member. So do we all." Alona is from Moscow and comes from a family of theater and film performers who should be deeply proud of her own performance as an instructor and inspiration to her students. Finally, I'd like to congratulate Alona on defending her dissertation yesterday, April 30th. The first ever virtual dissertation defense in the linguistics department, including committee members piping in from Stony Brook, from Huntington, and from Japan, as well as 44 attendees. Alona is off to work for Google starting this month, and we will all miss her, especially the students in our department who have had the great fortune of being inspired by her as their instructor. Congratulations, Alona. Поздравляем тебя.
Hello, I'm Mary Rawlinson, the Director of Graduate Studies and Philosophy. I'm here today to introduce you to James Saris, one of this year's winners of the President's Award for Excellence in Teaching by a graduate student. Before coming to Stony Brook, James earned a BA at Harvard and an MA at the University of Leuven, one of Europe's most prestigious programs in philosophy. Currently in his 4th year of a Graduate Council Fellowship, James already has nearly completed a draft of his dissertation on the concept of time. From what I've read, it promises to be an important original contribution on a fundamental problem. James recently won a Cotta Fellowship, which will support a year's research in Germany. He is also the author of 5 peer-reviewed articles and the winner of the Burke Memorial Prize and the Silverman Travel Award, which both recognize the best paper submitted to a conference by a graduate student. Clearly, James is destined for a stellar research career in philosophy. But we are here today to recognize James's extraordinary teaching. In the 3 self-designed courses that James has taught at Stony Brook, he has earned on his student evaluations an average overall ranking of a nearly perfect 4.92 out of 5. The letters that students submitted in support of his nomination reveal an extraordinarily effective and caring teacher. Several students have decided to major or minor in philosophy because of James. Other students indicate that he is someone who makes an extraordinary impact on a student's day-to-day life and makes them, quote, fall in love with learning. As one student put it, James is a mentor that you can always count on. Please join me in thanking James Saris for his exceptional contributions to our undergraduate program. James, congratulations on this well-deserved award.
This is my greatest pleasure to introduce Sara Martinez Navarro, this year's recipient of the President's Award for Excellence in Teaching by a graduate student. Sara is a second-year PhD student in the Department of Hispanic Languages and Literature. She is a truly exceptional member of our intellectual community. She excels in everything, in her studies, in her teaching, and in her performance as a university citizen. She's an exceptional instructor. In fact, this award is not Sara's first teaching award on campus. She already won 2 during her first year at Stony Brook University. The first one is the Most Valuable Professor Award, and the second one is the Star Professor Award. Her students have pointed out her energy, her joy, and her deep knowledge of the subject she teaches. In our department, particularly, she quickly distinguished herself for going out of the way to recognize the individual needs of each of her students. Students requested to have her again as their instructor the following semester. Word spread out quickly, and soon she was not only helping her own students during her office hours, but also students from other classes who sought her guidance. And I want to read you some comments that her students sent to me so that I could write this letter of nomination for her. One student commented, and I quote, "Professor Martinez has devoted much of her time inside and outside of class, cultivating not just the art of Spanish within students, but also the art to think with students." Another student adds, "I felt that the wisdom she bestowed upon us during her classes can be applied to all our classes in general." And finally, a student concludes, "Sara has undoubtedly played a crucial role in each and every student's development and remains to be my most humble and respectable professor." Sara is a star professor in all senses. She is a role model for her students, her peers, and also us professors in the Department of Hispanic Languages and Literature. And I am extremely happy that she won this year's President's Award for Excellence in Teaching by a graduate student.
I have the great pleasure of talking about Alex Young's accomplishments as a teacher and mentor. Alex has taught a wide range of courses, and he's mentored a lot of undergraduates, helping to bring students with little background to the point where they could be fully contributing members of a research team. But I want to focus on one particular achievement of Alex's, when unexpected faculty departures left us with staffing needs. We decided that we would try having Alex teach an upper division required course, widely recognized one of the hardest courses in our major. We had never entrusted this to a graduate student, and we were a little worried about how it would go. So let me read some student comments so you can get a sense of how it did go. One student wrote, "When I went to my first phonology class, I saw a young man standing in front of the room. I immediately thought, there's no way a graduate student can teach this course. They aren't qualified enough. It didn't take 10 minutes into his lecturing that I realized that this predetermined opinion I had was most certainly not the case for Alex Young. In fact, Alex is the best professor I've had on campus yet." Another student wrote, "Phonology was one of the hardest courses that I've taken as a college student, and I was very much bolstered by Alex's quiet confidence in his students' ability, his capacity for meeting students where they are and guiding them to where they need to be." And finally, a third student wrote, "He's probably not even 5 years older than me, and yet he is more effective at teaching course material than nearly any professor I've had at Stony Brook." This is just a representative sample of the many raves we received about Alex's teaching. So Alex, congratulations on this award. It is richly deserved.
Hello, I'm Mary Rawlinson, the Graduate Program Director in Philosophy. I'm here today to introduce you to Chris Vermeaux, one of this year's winners of the President's Award for Excellence in Teaching by a Graduate Student. Chris is quite simply one of our stars. He recently defended his dissertation on Kant's moral philosophy, passing with distinction. In the fall, he'll join the faculty of the University of Scranton as an assistant professor on the tenure track. But we're here today to honor Chris's excellence in teaching. During his time at Stony Brook, Chris has taught 6 undergraduate courses of his own design, and his course evaluations reflect his success. He exceeds the university and college averages on every indicator, scoring a perfect 5 for teaching effectiveness in spring 2019. But even more impressive than these scores are the accolades that Chris has received from students. One student writes, "Professor Fermot is by far one of the most effective and knowledgeable professors I have had the pleasure of learning from. He is an incredibly skilled professor who puts his students' learning and needs as his top priority." Another student who now, thanks to Chris, is considering graduate work in philosophy writes, "Chris puts incredible effort into making sure his students succeed. She states that he always goes above and beyond for the class." Yet another student claims that Chris's modern philosophy course was the only class in which she'd have trouble getting a seat if she came a few minutes late. She knows, quote, that this is because of how much Fermot's students love him and his lectures. Please join me in thanking Chris Fermot for his remarkable contributions to our undergraduate program. Congratulations, Chris, on this well-deserved award.
One of the great experiences of an academic life is the moment of intellectual joy shared with a graduate student. An experience sparks an idea which leads to a hypothesis, to analysis, to discovery, and ultimately sometimes to publication. All of these steps can be inspiring, but few graduate students demonstrate the ability to be inspired, infectiously, wondrously inspired by these things like Erin Kang. From her first moments in graduate school, she has approached every opportunity for learning, training, and mentorship with the appreciative delight we should all strive for, all with the singular goal of improving understanding and treatment of those with autism. In doing so, she inspired dozens of other students throughout the department to do likewise, and provided a roadmap for how to do so at the highest levels of success. With a smile and a tireless spirit, Erin achieved a myriad of exceptional academic milestones, awards, presentations, publications, while treating and supporting scores of individuals with autism and their families, all while raising a family of her own. If she were not so humble, one could easily call these accomplishments superhuman. And now, Erin will carry these extraordinary accomplishments with her as she begins a tenure-track job training graduate students of her own in a psychology department this fall. So it is with immense pride that I present to you a winner of the President's Award to Distinguished Doctoral Students and your doctoral hooding ceremony student speaker, Erin Kang.
Hi, I'm Matt Dawber, Graduate Program Director in Physics and Astronomy, and a Cadets Metaphysicist, like Xinxiong Chen, who is our winner of the President's Award to Distinguished Doctoral Students. He did his PhD with his advisor Mengkung Liu in our department, who has this technique where you couple various forms of light into a scanning probe tip, measure the signal that's coming off that, and learn fascinating things about the materials that you're studying on the nanoscale. Xinxiong has been absolutely prolific in his PhD and has published over 20 papers, 6 as first author. I'm going to focus on just one of those. Shall we call it the crowning achievement of his PhD? This is a work that just came out a few weeks ago on wiring engineering of electronic phenomena in colloidal oxides. So it takes an idea that's got some popularity in recent years, wiring engineering, and applies it to materials that are at the forefront of electronic properties in materials, colloidal oxides. These are materials that have magnetic properties, fascinating electronic properties. Some of them are superconductors. They're very rich in their behavior, and they're very useful materials. So what is Moiré engineering? What is a Moiré pattern? If you take a set of lines, and you essentially take 2 sets of lines, and you let them rotate at some angle with respect to each other, you'll see as they rotate, there are stripes that appear. This is the so-called Moiré pattern, and the spacing of those stripes depends on the angle. So in principle, you can change the spacing, or if you like, the length scale of the phenomena you're seeing by that twist angle. So how do you do this in an oxide material? If you take LSMO, the material that's been studied by Xinshong and Menkun, it already has a domain structure in it, but then there's also a structure that comes from the substrate that's grown upon. And so if you can get those to align each other with those specific angles, well, then you can get a moire pattern in the electronic structure, which they showed using their scanning probe technique. And you can control that by the relative angle there. So you've now set yourself up for a whole engineering approach to producing new and exciting material properties within this class of materials and tuning them to get what you want out of the material. Xinshong is defending in about a week. I'm sure it's going to go well. So I'm all going to congratulate him. Congratulations, Dr. Xinshong Chen. By the time you meet him at this award ceremony, he will be Dr. Xinshong Chen.
Order up.
Where's my cheese?
Well, for the casual weekend barbecuer, you may forget the cheese, but for the BME chef de cuisine, Adrian Hoansky, he never forgot the cheese when he was barbecuing for all of our BME events. I want to take this time to congratulate one of the 2020 Distinguished Doctoral Fellows, Adrian Hoansky, for winning this prestigious award. Adrian had a remarkable PhD where he had approximately 10 publications and 15 conference proceedings. He was one of the Graduate Council Fellows. He had 2 patents during his time at Stony Brook. He was an instructor for the School of Health Technology and Management, training new candidates to be MR technicians, and he is the medical physics resident at Stony Brook University. He had an outstanding PhD dissertation. He wowed his entire committee, and they chose to hire him back at Stony Brook. This is an amazing accomplishment. So on behalf of all of the faculty of the BME graduate program, I want to congratulate you, Adrian, on the outstanding award you received and the outstanding dissertation that you completed.
As the Graduate Program Director of Computer Science, it is my distinct privilege to introduce Avi Srivastava, who is a recipient of the President's Award to Distinguished Doctoral Students. Avi graduated with a PhD in Computer Science in December 2019, and he is now a postdoctoral researcher at New York Genome Center. In a little over 5 years as an exemplary PhD student and scholar, Avi has made significant and useful contributions to an exciting interdisciplinary area called computational biology. His dissertation advisor, Rob Patro, would have put his work in context much better, but I'm going to try. Avi's work is on generating gene expression estimates from DNA and RNA sequencing data. This has become a promising avenue for effective personalized medicine. Avi's dissertation deals with the design and development of methods to generate accurate gene expression estimates from raw, bulk, and single-cell RNA sequencing data. When supporting Avi's nomination for the award, Professor Patro said that beyond the considerable intellectual contribution that Avi's work makes to the field, it is likely that his tool will make an immense practical contribution as it is used by other researchers in both academia and industry to accurately infer gene expression profiles from single-cell RNA sequencing data. In an interdisciplinary research area such as computational biology, it is very rare, extremely rare to find a dissertation that has such a well-recognized impact both on the foundational algorithmic side as well as on the application side. Avi has managed to do that in a very short span of his PhD studies, and that is very impressive. And doing so while dealing with a serious health diagnosis is particularly noteworthy. Avi's record clearly shows that he is a researcher of extraordinary ability. I feel extremely privileged to be able to introduce him and his work. We are all very proud of Avi receiving a President's Award to distinguished doctoral students. Congratulations, Avi, on this richly deserved honor.
careful, the patient needs you.
Okay, I'm coming. Who am I kidding? I'm not that kind of doctor. But for the next distinguished doctoral fellow, Michael Tyler Guinn, he is that kind of doctor. He's getting 2 doctoral degrees, both a medical degree and a PhD degree through Stony Brook's MSTP program. I want to congratulate Tyler on getting this award. Tyler has been a great student in BME. I should know. I served as the chair of his doctoral committee. He wowed us from the first meeting where we felt like we were talking to a colleague, not a student. He has about 10 publications, another 20 or so conference proceedings. He's been a TA for multiple courses in BME and in the medical school. In the MSTP program, he's worked on the newsletter. He organized a 5K run with the dean of the medical school. He runs marathons. He does research. He found his wife in the lab during this time. He does everything. We should applaud Tyler for all of his accomplishments. But perhaps most important, he was awarded the prestigious Department of Defense National Defense Science and Engineering Graduate Fellowship. This is a very prestigious award that very few students get in the country yearly. And we have one at Stony Brook. So on behalf of the faculty in biomedical engineering, Tyler, I want to congratulate you on all of your accomplishments. We know you'll go far. You'll do great. You have done great things at Stony Brook. You'll continue to do great things. Congratulations.